This podcast is a member of the Red 5 Network. For more Red 5 Network podcasts and content creators, visit bio.link/Red5.
Hi, this is Dominic Pace, who plays Gecko the Bounty Hunter from The Mandalorian, and you are listening to ConverSWation's podcast.
Catchy. ConverSWations, you're the one. You make Star Wars lots of fun. Yeah, you do. ConverSWations, may the Force be strong with you. Sing it, Bubby. Yeah, Bub.
Patton Charles, you're so grand. Never afraid to lend a helping hand.
That's true.
ConverSWations, may the Force be strong with.
Absolutely be strong with.
I see what you did.
Oh, ConverSWations, may the Force be strong with you.
Hello, and welcome to ConverSWations. I'm Charles.
And I'm Pat, and this is episode 133.
The Force surrounds us, guides us, and sets the fate of us all in motion. But perhaps it can also take a different path. A path that can only be seen through the world of the Whills. This is a heavy one.
You know, it's half heavy and half sort of,
A little bit light.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
Firstly, we've got, what if R2's memory was wiped? Now,
To be specific, this is when 3PO got his memory wiped at the end
yeah, so to be specific, it wasn't specific.
Ooh, okay.
So, that being said, it depends on when his memory was wiped. After every mission? After the prequel trilogy? After the original trilogy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Like, there's a lot of options here. Maybe at all these times.
Oh, wow.
Okay? So, if we say, like you did, that we're wiping it after the prequel trilogy, R2 has been in service to the Republic for quite a while. So, if that were the case at the end of Revenge of the Sith, that would have likely also been the case throughout the prequels as well. He would have probably routinely had his memory wiped if he was one of those droids that got their memories wiped. Okay? So, that being said, he and Threep likely would have remained in service to the rebellion, but as much less a valuable asset. Okay? So, in the event that he arrived in A New Hope with a freshly bleached hard drive, he was still the only astromech on the Tantive V4. There were multiple protocol droids, but they can't relay messages of that magnitude. So, Leia would still have uploaded the Death Star plans to his databanks, and he and Threep would still end up on Tatooine. Although, with a frequently wiped memory, he could have digital echoes of those events, or what Westworld termed reveries.
Ooh, Westworld reference. Wow. Rob of the Jedi Temple Archives. He's going to like that one. Well, he doesn't listen, so it doesn't matter, but, yeah.
We'll tell him about it, and then he'll, listen to that part and then stop.
It'll still be a listen.
Should have waited till the end of the episode. Get that full listen in. So, wherein snippets of his past seep into his circuitry, altering what he knows is real. Without a dedicated timeline to the events of which he was a part, the signals would inhibit each other and lead to a restoration of factory settings. And then, just like my college term paper, that file will be lost forever. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, more like Error 404. It's a good thing that Leia taped a Post-it note with a QR code to the back of 3PO's golden torso, because we're saved.
A QR code. Okay.
So the message still gets there. It's unconventional. So, yeah, it's a weird thing. And that's still the only place I could go with it,
Okay. All right.
But it works.
It does work. It fits the timeline, and it fits the events.
Yeah. But he's useless when it comes to retaining information because of all his mixed circuitries and such.
And that's a perfect point is that we never stipulated when his memory was wiped.
We did not.
So that's the first thing. So my approach was his memory was wiped along with C-3PO's at the end of The Revenge of the Sith. So that's the premise I went in with.
Which is kind of what I assumed as well. But,
okay.
Then I was like, well, why would it be only that time?
Right.
I feel like if he's on these recon missions, it could be frequently.
And I do remember during the Clone Wars, one of the episodes when R2 is captured, and I think it's Obi-Wan, it's like, you haven't erased R2's memory? And Anakin's like, no, I haven't. So Anakin's rebellious...
Sorry, Master, I forgot.
Just like I lost my lightsaber. So that rebellious nature led Anakin to not erase R2's memory, whereas C-3PO seemed to be on a regular rotation. And you're right, they erased the droid's memories to keep them on task, without degradations of software, but also without personality, to keep them completely as serviceable droids. So what I'd like to say, that I'm not going to go down this road though, I totally think that R2 would have been making secret backups somewhere that only he could decipher, even if his memory was wiped, that he could go and find these backups, but we're not going to go there.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. And I think that would truly be the fact, that he would embed these backups or his factory reset with some sort of digital path that would lead him back to his backups of all the stuff that he knows.
So his memories are never really gone.
Exactly. There. See? Thank you. So now let's also realize that this is not the first time that R2's memory's been erased, of course, because Cad Bane erased his encounter with them when he was using R2's memory storage to get the layout of the Senate building during the Senate hostage crisis. So R2's gone through this before. Not that that's a huge thing.
Not to a full extent, though.
Right. Yeah. No. Just that one encounter.
That was like the Men in Black thing.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
Like the last 15 minutes.
So for this case, we are talking about R2-D2 and C-3PO are put into a room and their memories are wiped. So no longer does R2 get the sort of taunting of C-3PO getting his memory wiped. They're both getting wiped. So
Sucker.
That means all the prequels, the Clone Wars, everything has been erased from day one in R2 factory reset. So after that reset, R2 is still going to be assigned to Captain Raymond Santilles. But because Bail knew that his memory was wiped, he did not recall R2 to help him get in contact with Ahsoka Tano, because he was integral in that part. So the two pilots that went on this mission to reach Ahsoka Tano, again, like I said, without R2, she managed to release a tractor beam without R2's help. She placed a tracker sensor on the ship and hid in a nearby asteroid field, waiting for whatever was going to happen after. So, like in the story, Bail arrived in Tantive 4. R2 is serving on the ship, but has no clue about what or who Ahsoka Tano is. He reviews the security footage of that ship, and he saw, Bail, Ahsoka Tano. And so she saw that the ship with the tracker eventually returned to Alderaan because it was under the power of Bail Organa. She stealthily infiltrated Bail's office on Alderaan, but was caught by R2. Because he was in security mode, okay? And then as soon as she saw R2, she had the same reaction that she had in the Ahsoka novel, actually, where she saw R2 and then she literally hugged him because she remembered him from all of the Clone Wars, right?
Yeah.
But at this point, R2 has no clue who's hugging him. And off go the security alarms. Everything gets set off.
An intruder.
Yeah, exactly. So she fought off a few security guards, but eventually she was cornered by dozens of security guards, and then Bail comes up. He explains to her what's going on and why he's reaching out to her. And she says to him, "You wiped R2's memory?" And Bail said, "Yeah, after the Jedi Purge, we had no choice but to erase everything that went on." And she said that, "Oh, that's probably a good thing, because he had lots of bad role models. And then Bale, of course, like we see in the story, right, Anakin Skywalker. And she replied, no, Senator Padme Amidala. Okay, so this was in the novel. I'd love to get your feedback. I know we're on a what if here and like the world of Whills. So why would Ahsoka say Padme Amidala was a bad influence on R2? Because okay, there's a few examples of where she got Ahsoka to use her Jedi powers or her clearance to get her into back doors and stuff like that. But she also represented her at her trial. And for her to throw out that line, that's very, very curious.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. You know, you've got these characters that are doing things for good that maybe are less than above board. But she typically was not one of them. So, I mean, it's easy to say, oh, people are doing the wrong thing for the right reasons. But she typically did not. And it's an interesting statement to make because Padme's heart was obviously very much in the right place. And her, you know, and she wasn't like brash or typically condescending, unless they deserved it. So there wasn't really anything about her personality or her character that was less than senatorial. So I feel like if that comment is going anywhere, it's misdirected in terms of Padme, because you couldn't find a better role model for democracy and for freedom than Padme at the time.
Yeah, that's just fascinating. I mean, I agree. I completely agree with you said, is that it's the framing that she's saying it with, and the fact that Bale went immediately with Anakin because of his, like we even talked about it. Yeah, because he never erased his memory to begin with. He was that rebel. It's just, wow. It's a deep comment. So anyways, so cool. All right. So Bale speaks to Ahsoka. She agrees to join the rebel cause. But because Ahsoka now knows that R2's memory's been wiped, he doesn't have that story of the Clone Wars and sees him more as a tool that both Padme and then Anakin used. Her association to him is now gone. And so she doesn't want anything to do with R2. So at her request, Bale sends R2A3, which is Wedge's R2 unit, with Threep on the mission to Gorel. And R2A3 meets the Spectres. And as the story unfolds, Ahsoka becomes Fulcrum, and so then R2A3 becomes ingrained in the front line of the rebel cause. And it was R2A3 on the blockade runner
Okay.
in A New Hope. And so R2A3 recorded Leia's message, and with presumably the approximate location details for Obi-Wan Kenobi from her younger years. So from Leia's side, she still knows where Kenobi is, or approximate, right? So she still downloads that, and presumably that she would have done the same thing for R2D2, because R2D2 at this point was sort of out of the loop of where Obi-Wan could be. So likely she would have included that in that message. So R2A3 is now carrying this. They both escaped the blockade runner. We see R5D4 sacrifice himself, Luke the whole bit, the escape from the Death Star. But now that R2 unit of yours seems a little beat up. Do you want a new one? Luke glances briefly back at the secure droid before replying, not in your life. That droid and I have been through a lot together. I'll secure R2. And the droid, R2A3, is now locked in the lore of Luke's droid. And as hard as it may seem, you could find and replace R2D2 with R2A3 in the Skywalker saga. And because of that, there isn't one corporeal entity, droid or human or being, who was present for both Leia's birth and her death. Because R2's memory was wiped, and R2A3 only knew Princess Leia way after she was born.
I don't like it. So what happens to R2? He's just some run-of-the-mill droid?
That's exactly it. He's a serviceable droid in the Rebel Alliance, and that's it.
Not in my Star Wars. Oh, boy. I don't like that at all.
Thank God he's in the world of the Whills, because that does suck.
Yeah, because you're kicked off the island. Oh, boy. All right.
Wow.
Unbelievable. All right.
Whew. Well, should we take a quick commercial break before we get into Plageuis?
Nope. Yep.
We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Yeah, right.
From the core planets to the outer rim, Air Anakin sets the standard for luxury hyperspace travel. Announcing our newest class of transport, the Nabari Cruiser. Each passenger will be granted Jedi Master class amenities.
Another glass of Felucian Manguese liquor, Master?
Oh, wow. Do you really think I should?
You should be fine. By the time we arrive on Ord Mantell, we'll likely be under the New Galactic Empire. I may have one with you.
So, sit back and relax. It's Air Anakin's speciality.
One-way trips to Alderaan are now 3/4 off regular price. Don't miss this high ground special.
Yeah, we're back.
And we're back.
With the cheesy radio DJ. I really, I don't know. I don't like your R2. I don't like your R2. I don't.
It's not my fault. It's Ahsoka's. I mean, she's the one who she was the fulcrum. She was the fulcrum of R2's fate. Oh,
it's not her fault. His memory was wiped.
No, but it's not her fault that she doesn't want to have anything to do with him now that his memories
Why
are gone.
would she? He's not the cherished, plucky robot that we all know and love. He's just some astromech.
Astromech, you're right. But he's also factory reset very shortly before he meets her again, so he's pretty bland.
Yeah. And useless.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Just like me.
Bland and useless. Oh.
Bland and useless. Oh, that's not nice.
That's the title of this episode. Okay.
Oh. The world of the Whills.
All right. Well, so
the second topic, first of all, this was submitted by Ro.
Yes.
After he listened to our episode, part 1 of Palpatine,
yes,
he suggested to us, he just messaged me and said, hey, what if Palpatine didn't kill Plageuis? What would happen? And so this is the question we're going to explore.
Yes.
All right. You comfortable?
I'm comfortable. Yeah.
All right.
Is this going to turn out better than your R2?
No.
Oh no. Oh,
No.
boy.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Well, maybe it's better. Who knows? We'll see. Okay. So first of all, let's just say that it's a bit unclear. There's not a definitive timeline as to when Senator Sheev Palpatine killed Plageuis. But from what I've seen and what I've looked at and how it makes sense, for me it happens just before Attack of the Clones. So somewhere between those 10 years between Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. So that's where I'm starting this from.
Okay.
So as we know, Plageuis obsessed with eternal life, but he could also manipulate midichlorians to create life. That was his massive power. And so if he had the ability to manipulate midichlorians to create life, the assumption is that he could also manipulate midichlorians to eliminate life. So therefore, Senator Palpatine was using a blade to kill Plageuis in his sleep. But Plageuis was immune to a windpipe attack.
I'm sorry? He was immune?
Immune? Well, he was immune, but he's also immune to a windpipe attack.
Immune to a windpipe attack. Got it.
Because Sheev miscalculated his anatomy. He didn't know clearly where the fatal slice was on a immune. And so realizing that Palpatine was trying to kill him, immune to a simple straight up throat pipe cut. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was more towards the back, but he didn't know that.
Right.
So at this point, Plageuis realized that Sheev was following the rule of 2.
Right.
Therefore, Plageuis lashed out with Force Lightning on Sheev, greatly wounding him. He immediately followed that with a devastating attack by shifting the midichlorians in Sheev's blood to almost fuse together, thus almost killing him.
Yikes.
But killing him would severely set back his plan to turn the galaxy into a Sith Empire, obviously, because he's Senator Palpatine / Chancellor Palpatine very shortly. So the fact that he lived through this assassination attempt, it emboldened Plageuis that he was on the right path to immortality. So he released Palpatine near death, and he crumpled to the floor. And he said to him, "I am the master, you are the apprentice." And in this weakened state, Plageuis was finally able to forge the Force dyad with Sheev.
Only master of evil, Darth.
There you go. Plageuis was trying to forge a Force dyad with Sheev, and it never worked. And now he realized it was because Sheev always wanted to be the master, never the apprentice. So now in this extremely near-death, weakened state, and then Plageuis undid his midichlorians a little bit, enough to allow Palpatine to regain consciousness. And Palpatine groveled at his feet, begging for mercy from the pain, and pledged his eternal allegiance as his master's apprentice. And that, with the dyad, Plageuis saw all of Palpatine's plans from Maul, Dooku, the clone army, Anakin Skywalker, everything. Now, there was certain parts of these things that he knew because they were talking together and working together, but he finally got the complete picture of how he was trying to actually subvert Plagueis's power by using all these chess pieces that he didn't know about. But now he has it all, and like the surging memories within his mind. So he realizes that with his own strengths in planning and sciences around immortality and midichlorians, were going to be almost insurmountable with the strength of Palpatine's talents in long-term planning and strategy. Now that Palpatine isn't searching for his apprentice to overthrow his master, it's Plageuis who's looking for a potential candidates for his new apprentice. That's the rule of 2. Yes, there's a master and apprentice, but the master is always looking for competitors for this apprentice role to keep the apprentice in check. Now we're at the Attack of the Clones.
Okay.
As we know the story. So the first assassination attempt on Senator Amidala still happens because of her opposition to the Military Creation Act. So the explosion on the flight deck, Corday still dies. So it raises everyone's alert, of course. Anakin, who is now back on Coruscant, confides in Palpatine because that relationship still exists, that he thinks of Padme every day. He dreams of her, the whole bit. He's like obsessed with her. But Palpatine, again, working with Plageuis, realizes that keeping him away from Padme will irritate his attachment issues and sort of, scratch that itch, which in the long term isn't going to be good, but that's what's going on. And because Palpatine wasn't looking to recruit Anakin as apprentice, he did Plagueis' bidding and did not suggest Obi-Wan as extra security for Padme Amidala, therefore taking Obi-Wan and Anakin out of the loop with that second assassination attempt. And because of that, and despite R2's alarms and Captain Typho's quick reaction, the Cohuns kill Padme Amidala.
Oh boy. Yikes.
Yeah. So Padme dies. And now, thank God, R2 and Typho worked together to kill the Cohuns before they had time to, shall we say, digest Padme.
Oh boy.
I don't know if you've looked into what they do, but I did, and it's not nice. So let's just say that it was a good thing that they got rid of them as they did. As this thing is ensuing, and Typho is taking out these Cohuns or these centipede things, R2 notices the droid that's outside the window, right? That dropped off these two centipedes. As it backs away from the window and its trajectory to return to Zam, he alerts Typho, but Typho can't blast it in time.
Mm.
So immediately at that point, Typho alerts everyone, like Obi-Wan, Anakin, Jedi Council, Senate, everyone who's involved in security of a high-ranking senator like Padme. He sends out the picture of that droid.
Mm-hmm.
And so Obi-Wan, Anakin get that image. They look at it. They take off immediately, head towards her apartment. And as they're flying towards her apartment, they see the droid.
Mm.
Boom. They turn around. They chase it. They have the encounter with Zam. They get the dart, the whole bit. Anakin is devastated, of course, because Padme's dead.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he doesn't have the direct attachment, as we see in Attack of the Clones,
Mm-hmm.
but he still feels that deep pain because she's dead.
Mm-hmm.
And also resentment because he wasn't there to be able to save her.
Mm-hmm.
So the next day, he again confides in Sheev, and he explains this whole situation, and Sheev fuels his rage
Mm-hmm.
that he wasn't there to help her. He was blaming Obi-Wan and, the council, basically, for controlling Anakin's fate, pulling him away from Padme, and to incite him to find the assassin. So then, as we see in the movie, the dart triggers the whole cloners, the Kaminoans. In fact, it's Obi-Wan and Anakin who visit Dex at the diner.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, Plagueis starts to torment Anakin with visions of Padme.
Oh boy.
He's planting these things. And as we see in the movie, your time will come. You will get the assignments that you deserve, Anakin. You're being minimized, the whole bit. And so Anakin and Obi-Wan travel to Kamino. And while touring the facility, Anakin has the vision of Shmi being tortured by the Sand People.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, he abandons Obi-Wan and takes off for Tatooine.
Oh,
and
boy.
of course, Obi-Wan freaks out. He shouts at him, "You could be expelled from the Jedi Order!" And yet he leaves because it's Shmi.
Mm.
Anakin flies to Tatooine. He slays the Sand People. And not only did Yoda feel this in the Force. You remember in Attack of the Clones, Yoda sees that and then Mace talks about it.
Mm-hmm.
So Palpatine also felt this in the Force.
Mm.
So he was on Tatooine alone. He didn't have Padme. So he didn't have anybody with him to help him deal with, talk through, assess what he just did.
Mm-hmm.
To not just the men, but the women and children too.
Right,
So he sinks deeper into the dark side, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And after this happens, Plagueis instructs Palps to bring Anakin to meet him as soon as he returns to Coruscant.
Oh boy.
So then we go back to Tatooine. They got the message from Obi-Wan. Anakin still meets him on Geonosis, pretty much as it plays out in the movie. And so as he returns to Coruscant, the first thing he does is he meets Plagueis along with Palpatine. And playing his role as Higo Damask. Now, this is from the novel Plagueis, so this is not canon.
Mm-hmm.
But in the novel, Plagueis is a intergalactic banking clan from Maigito, and his name is Higo Damask. Tells Anakin that if he was excommunicated from the Jedi Order for what he did, leaving Obi-Wan to go and rescue his mother, it would be a grave mistake and a massive insult. And he also explains that his relationship to Palpatine, as working together for the Republic, he would have guaranteed employment and he wouldn't have to worry about anything if he was to leave the Jedi Order.
Okay.
So that happens. Anakin faces the Jedi Council and they expel him from the Order.
Mm.
And Obi-Wan does not defend him. So now he has anger and rage for Obi-Wan. He has anger and rage for the Jedi Order.
Mm-hmm.
So Padme's dead. Shmi's dead. Well, who does he go to?
Oh boy.
Palpatine.
Mm.
And who makes him his envoy to the Jedi Council. So he is now forcing Anakin onto the Jedi Council. They're forcing them to see Anakin every day. And so, during the Clone Wars, so now we're talking between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith,
Mm-hmm.
Plagueis is perfecting and he finalizes his transference power. He's solved the science and the midichlorian power. And while this is happening, Obi-Wan takes Ahsoka as an apprentice and she still leaves the Order. I don't think that with or without Anakin in that situation, she would have stayed because it was the Jedi Order who failed her, not Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
So she still is out of the picture. Near the end of the Clone Wars, Plagueis invited Anakin to meet him without Palpatine.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, where he tells Anakin that he discovered through various sources
Oh, boy.
that it was Palpatine who denied the move for Obi-Wan and Anakin to protect Padme after the first assassination attempt. And Anakin was livid.
Mm-hmm.
Shortly thereafter, Palpatine arrived at Plagueis' apartment as his master commanded. Anakin unleashed his wrath on Palpatine, and as the battle ensued in front of Plagueis, Palpatine let loose Force lightning on Anakin, but Plagueis manipulated Palpatine's midichlorians and paralyzed him, stopping the Force lightning. Anakin struck in the lull and brought Palpatine to near death. Plagueis says to Anakin, "What have you done? You've essentially killed the Chancellor of the Galactic Republic. I expected you to confront him, not kill him." And Anakin looked at him and said, I couldn't stop. And Plagueis says to him, "Only I can save you now. Save the galaxy from the Confederacy of Independent Systems." And Anakin looks at him, deflated. How? How can we do this? And Plagueis launches, "Pledge your life to me. We together will forge the future of a safe and balanced galaxy." And Anakin replies, "Yes, my lord." And Plagueis says, "Once I have completed my revival in Sheev, Palpatine, you must protect me and bring me to my bacta tank." Plagueis transfers his consciousness and his spirit to the lifeless Palpatine, and Plagueis' new body takes a deep breath. Anakin picks up Palpatine/Plagueis and brings him to the tank, and as he lays him in the water, Anakin looks up into nothingness and says, "What have I done?" He stays with the body until Plagueis comes out. "You have done well, my apprentice." Anakin drops to one knee, and Plagueis says, "Rise, Lord Vader."
Oh, boy.
And the Revenge of the Sith happens mostly as it does. Now, Plagueis being Palpatine, using Darth Vader as his new Sith apprentice, not being mangled, not with the yellow eyes, just as his operative, sending him out where he needs to be during this period to make sure that Order 66 stays on track. Order 66 happens. Obi-Wan and Yoda survive. Obi-Wan goes into exile in Ahch-To. Plagueis and Vader destroys the Rebel Alliance. Death Star 1 is never destroyed, and the Sith rule the galaxy for centuries.
Oh, boy. I feel like we took each other's what ifs. Because that's a very me scenario.
Yeah, that is my first scenario where the Rebel Alliance is absolutely destroyed.
Terrible.
So there we go. That's my view of the what happens if Plagueis survives. Mm-hmm.
Mine's entirely different.
Yes, perfect.
Yes, it is quite different indeed. All right, so first, there's the Palpisode 128. Which has
well done.
all of our sort of prequel and before history of Palpatine and some Plagueis stuff and all that. So that's kind of some backstory for anyone that hasn't listened to that episode, which is most everyone. So in that episode and in the lore, Sheev and Plagueis worked to unlock the secrets of immortality. And Plagueis attempted to form a Force dyad with Sidious, using one of the two as a vessel for the complete power of the dark side to hopefully rule for 10,000 years. Had his twisted experiments been successful or even looked promising, Palpatine would not have killed him. Okay? Not even an attempt. He would have been so involved in this process, in these experiments, that the two would be working together to unlock them. Okay. He needs the two of them. He needs the two of them to unlock it. So these experiments are quite promising. So he says, well, yeah, let's keep doing this. Okay. As they keep experimenting, Palpatine looks to that process to gain more power, as one does. They would have continued that pursuit of transference while attempting to unlock the immortality. And given enough time and teamwork in their research, they likely would have reached their goal and maintained life long enough for Palpatine to truly learn everything from Plageuis. And then he still would have taken his master's life and found and trained his own apprentice. But this likely would not have happened for another 60-ish years.
Ooh.
At which time, Palpatine would have had all the knowledge and experimentation he would need to harness immortality. He would still murder Plagueis in his sleep because obviously, it's who he is. It's like a part of who he is. And he would have begun searching for an apprentice to grow his power. He would feel a tremor in the Force as he reached out in the dark side meditation. While Plagueis and Palpatine were experimenting with immortality, the Jedi Council continued to sow peace and justice throughout the galaxy. Master Skywalker took over the Padawan training program, and once his son Luke was adequately trained by Obi-Wan Kenobi, the two Skywalkers would join Masters Plo Koon and Kit Fisto in their search for Force-sensitive younglings throughout the galaxy. This would lead the senior and junior Skywalkers to Jakku, where they would meet a young scavenger looking for her parents. Their mission would be intercepted by Darth Sidious, and he would promise her answers about her lineage.
Dang, okay. Wow.
Rey would then train in the ways of the Sith under her grandfather, Sheev Palpatine, until it was time to reveal themselves to the Jedi in an effort to overthrow the Council and the influence they held on the galaxy. With the Chosen One and Son at the head of the Jedi Spear, they would relatively easily quash the would-be Sith rebellion and usher in a renewed period of peace and tranquility throughout the galaxy.
So they took down Rey and Sheev.
Yeah, because it was the Chosen One and his kid.
Yeah, no, I mean that's the spearhead that you'd want.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang, we definitely took over each other's what ifs.
Yeah. Feels good. I don't.
Wow.
Don't want to.
You broke your record.
I
your
know.
Streak.
I know. I think I'm on the right path, you guys.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
Oh.
No. There's many more World of the Wheels to come. Don't worry. You'll be able to scale back down that ladder.
Yes.
That's what I did
there. Yeah. So that's where I went with it.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Wow. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. It's a lot more uplifting than mine, but
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which I'm glad it is, because if we both had tales of despair, well, guess what?
Moments of depression. Very nice.
I'm happy, and I'm glad I ended things, because if you ended things, oof. All right.
Well, you can say that any time, really, but especially in this case.
Exactly. I mean, I do say it every time. But yeah, so this was fun, and I don't hate myself. So for the episodes where I do hate myself, they're all in our backlog, and so you can listen to all of my doom, gloom, despair, and self-loathing and by the end of those other episodes. So they are on our website at ConverSWations.com. We're on Facebook.com/ConverSWations. Twix.
Mm-hmm. Twix
has us at Swations, and ConverSWations on Instagram, and at ConverSWations on Threads. ConverSWations on the Etsy shops, and our link tree is link.tree/ConverSWations. And while you're talking about links and trees, you can find our good friend Ro and his Scuttlebutt Nation over at the Red 5 Podcast Network, of which we are still somehow proud founding members. And they and all of our other friends can be met at bio.link/Red5.
Nice. And in honor of R2, one of our stories, maybe we can send off this episode with a boot.
Boot.
Greetings, listener. Just a reminder that the podcast you just heard is a proud member of the Red 5 Network family. Red 5 Network offers you a great variety of shows you'll be sure to love. So the next time you're itching for quality content, make sure you head over to Red 5 Network. You'll find this podcast along with a whole lot more. All wings report in. It's the Red 5 Network.